The following is a conversation with Nate Peters. We talk about the machine learning-based audio editing solution that I'm using to edit this podcast, named Descript, about web components, React, and UI libraries, how COVID-19 has affected our work lives, and briefly about NFTs and cryptocurrencies and this new informal catch-up conversation podcast format that I'm testing out. I'd like to share as well that season 2 of my live stream recently started. You can watch it at Nono live. There are already 41 or 42 videos uploaded, and we will be meeting live and doing hands-on coding, machine learning, creative coding, and talking about this podcast on Thursdays around 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern time. That's when we get started, and live streams go from 30 minutes to 3 hours sometimes when it gets a bit crazy and we get caught on rabbit holes programming. Without further ado, I'll leave you with a conversation that I really hope you enjoyed. Hey, it's Nono, and this is the Getting Simple podcast. Can you talk just to see if this works?
Yeah, test. Can you hear me? Do you record separately through OBS or something?
I have a setup with Hijack. So this I've been using for years, and this works with Descript. I never showed you Descript, right?
Mm-mm.
So maybe that's the first thing I can show you.
Nice.
So I'm sharing screen to Nate in case this makes it anywhere. Yeah, so the first two, if you've never seen it, maybe I have shown you sometime. You seen this? Maybe.
No, I don't think so. It's like a...
Yeah, so it's a visual programming for audio, which is really nice. I've been using this for
Yeah, that's cool.
many years. This is my input mic. If I click here, I have 2 recorders in place. So this one just started recording and this one just started recording for you, right? So these get Zoom, but you could get other audio sources and you can get as many as you want, right?
Oh, interesting.
You can pipe the audio in different places. So for example, I pipe my mic into this virtual device that goes into Zoom. And then on Zoom, you cannot see that, but I can choose this and then I can remove noise from my mic and I can pump the volume up a bit. So you can record before and after. Sweet. You can also save I could create, where is the recorder? So I could create a new recorder in MP3. So now I just did that. It's getting my voice and yours and merging into MP3 directly.
Wow, so it's like channeling it and then compiling it live. That's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. So I can split the file here, for example, split the file, or I can pause the recording or stop it.
And wait, this is the one called Hijack?
Yeah, this is Audio Hijack. It's Loop. It's called Rogue Amoeba. So they also do this software. It's another piece that you use in the workflow. And this I use for OBS. So I send things from this workflow to this device, and then this is what I get to record in OBS, right? And I can system, right? So I have mic, which gets my voice, and then system, which is to pipe these things into OBS. So if I show a video on YouTube during the live stream, it will pipe the audio. If there is a keynote video as well, right? If I play a video, is the go-to if you're gonna do any audio processing in Mac Live and stuff. So it's really nice. And then this is kind of been there for years for me. And then last year I discovered this is kind of mind blowing when you see it now. So this I managed to pipe from Hijack to Loopback to 2 channels of audio, and now we have my voice is here. So if you talk, you will see. Just say something, you'll see this pump.
Oh, check.
You see, so that sort of moves up. You might not have seen it, but it just moves, right?
Oh, and it's transcribing live too.
Yeah. So check. You just said that.
That's wild. This is like Westworld. Like I'm reading the script back to myself before I say it.
If you had an editor, or if I don't mind editing the audio later, I could say here, this is like West Raleigh, right? That's what I got. So I could, this is probably really slow right now, but I could go here and say, okay, this is Westworld, and that's fixed. And I could now do something like highlighting or remove part of the text or something. I can copy paste your text or remove it, and that removes it from the audio already, from the recording.
So it's like dropping audio or like time keyframes along with the text into the audio channel. That's sick.
Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, I've been using this a lot. I have a bunch of projects that already have been released for the podcast here, and I can also share a project with somebody and they can edit the transcript or the audio for me, and it all stays in this environment. And I have another, I don't know if I can move, I won't do it now, but I have other compositions from other conversations that I've recorded for this stuff that I'm doing now. And I have a recording here. Each of these is like a text document, but with the audio or video embedded. It's really nice. It has also automatic filler word removal. So you see this is highlighted, this you can automatically remove all of the, if I do now like, and if you look at, blah, 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 right? I'm just saying stuff. And this already gets highlighted here. This blah blah, it didn't get it because we're just talking, but you could, after a conversation, maybe a live stream of 2 hours, all the and things that you repeat, you can scratch them directly and it will clip them from the video automatically.
That's cool.
And also, which is something that is easier because that's more computational instead of AI, you can shorten the silences between words for as much as you want. So you can record and then you can remove the filler words and the silences, and you could re-export and upload the video or audio like that. If you don't want to do what's called like local edits. And
is this paid software? Like, do you pay for this?
I mean, you can use the free version. I ended up paying, it's like $240 a year or something, but it's definitely worth it. I mean, that's like,
I was going to say, yeah, this seems advanced enough. I'd be amazed if you weren't having to pay some amount of money for this.
Yeah, and you can also synthesize your own voice. So you can record yourself for like a lot of time. They bought Lyrebird, right? So they bought the startup that started they bought it to synthesize audio and stuff. So they're doing a lot of stuff there. And I believe that they're probably researching how to synthesize video as well, to do like deep fakes just with like writing text and stuff. It's really nice. It's a tool that makes
terrifying,
sense.
But cool.
It's terrifying, but at the end of the day, you just use it for the same thing that you would use it. Right. Just save a lot of time and feel a lot more in control of your content. You know what I started doing? I ended up, sometimes if I really like the words in a podcast episode, when I'm listening to it or when I finished, you just drag and drop it here. It transcribes the entire episode. And then you can have highlights on the text and then save like those clips only as a separate audio track. So it's like I could go and say, okay, I really like this part, and I highlight that, right? So that start being like highlighted in different colors and stuff. And you can copy the highlights on a specific color and copy to another file or composition. I don't know. It's just it's kind of a mind-blowing way of editing audio. They're just like,
the whole synthesis thing freaks me out. Like, I'm imagining you could like plagiarize someone's podcast. Like someone could listen to your podcast, take the software, be like, oh, I want to like republish this as my own, transcribe the audio, rewrite it out in their own synthesized voice, and then just like publish it all in like one fluid motion. And then you've just like ripped off someone else's audio.
Actually, Seth Godin has an episode on that. He's like the most consistent publisher I follow, right? He publishes one essay a day in his blog, and he is now publishing a podcast episode every Wednesday. And he has an episode about that, about like, if somebody gets like GPT-3 to like rewrite a post with my style, he has thousands of posts. He's probably going to sound like him, but who cares, right? It's his style.
This is like enough like content.
Yeah. And the same for his voice, right? You can plagiarize, and the episodes will probably make sense because everything's so consistent and he's always repeating the same type of sentence. I don't know. People like us do things like this, and that's culture, right? That's like, if you look at, that's like his like style, like always repeating himself, but using different examples. But yeah, anyhow, just wanted to show you, this is kind of the workflow. Everything that you can think that would make sense to have in this environment, they're doing. They have also something called Studio Sound Filter, which is a beta filter that with machine learning, arguably, it gets your input audio and then outputs another audio file that sounds as if you had post-processed it in Adobe Audition or some other software, right? Like it just kind of makes the quality better.
Magic Photoshop filter, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And it works really well in many cases. If you're talking from afar of your mic, it makes your voice sound really well compared to how it sounds with echo and stuff. It removes the echo and stuff, but it makes you sound differently. So it doesn't sound as exactly as your voice. So it's weird when you do it.
Warps your voice a bit.
No, it just makes it sound differently. It doesn't make it sound bad. It sounds good, but as if it was the voice of another person. But if you're close enough that the quality is already good enough, the output is really cool. It's really good.
Right.
And, for me, the workflow is like I'm collaborating with friends. I'm trying to look for people who can actually edit YouTube videos for me in this platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard because people are not so tech savvy to know what I'm talking about, but it's easy enough that they just have to see, okay, he just said here that we have to remove this part, or it seems that he's talking to the audience in the live stream instead of addressing the actual topic. I just applied the filter to remove the long silences, remove the filler words, took a look at the video really quickly, and then re-export it and upload it. And you get cuts on the video that you can see that is being automatically cut, but when the audio is kind of fluid, and you get this capability that if you're coding and you're doing things that are going to be boring to the person who's watching, you can just be silent so you're not talking. And then when you continue talking, you know that all that silence is going to be cropped down to like 1 second or 50 seconds, and you might be typing for like 20 seconds, right?
Well, that looks nice.
Oh, that library, actually, that video is something, I'm going to send it to you.
Yeah, what was that little UI library? I've been playing with P5 a lot.
The UI, so I didn't build that. That's something that I've been playing with on the live stream that I discovered because somebody forwarded it to me. It's called it's called Perfect Freehand. So it's a GitHub open source library. I can send you the links are here. But this guy open source the library. It does apply the filter to your strokes as Illustrator and other like Photoshop Sketch on the iPad do. Like they kind of re-rationalize your strokes to remove the noise and stuff. And you can tune it live. Let me see. I'm going to send you the link. So on the live stream, I'm trying to rebuild the suggestive drawing app, but make it a bit better and make it like a web online version that anyone can develop for and interact with. Cool. It's really, it's an ambitious goal, but I have many weeks to go through it. Yeah, so this is the library, and what's really cool is that after the fact, you can choose things like, cap the starts or not, or use thinning. So thinning is like if you go really fast. Let me see how to show you this.
Did you build the slider thing from scratch, or is that a library as well?
No. So this, all I'm showing you, this is not mine. This is already there, and that's, I don't know what that is, but that seems like might be something that is already built into some library. But the same traces, you can say, streamline more or less, right? Like more the original. So this would be like the really original trace, and then if you streamline it, it simplifies a lot. But I don't know. It's all math, right? It's done all in TypeScript. And it's crazy that he open source. He started doing a sponsorware project. So this guy's called Steve Ruiz. And I just found it because a guy on the live stream, I was talking about the goals that I wanted to do over the next week. And this guy looked on the internet and said, I found these things. And I'm like, wow. There is like an entire application built with this framework. So basically what you're seeing now, but somebody built it with YJS. That is like a protocol that lets you connect to WebSockets and other things.
It's like a CRDT thing. Yeah, I've been reading about that actually.
So there is WebRTC, but also compatible with WebSocket. So it has a plug for something called WebSocket, which goes with YJS. But it also connects to WebRTC. I was that dubious, but I think I'm going to go with WebSocket because I'm more familiar. I don't want to introduce more new things on the project.
Because that's mostly for, it's designed for like collaborative text editing. Because I know the algorithm is like really crazy and like kind of a lot to wrap your head around.
The only thing I read the other day, I recorded a small video on like as I was taking a look live. And the main difference that I saw is that it seems to be, I don't know if they say it was more secure, but also it's peer-to-peer. So that's the main difference. Like WebSocket is you have a central hub that everyone's connecting to. And WebRTC actually is peer-to-peer technology. So the application can function just with you and me connecting to a website, as opposed to you and me connecting on a server having to be running on DigitalOcean or some other platform.
Yeah. I sent you a link. You might find it interesting. There's Figma has like a dev blog where they just make posts about some of their different tech stack. This is the first one I sent you. This was my one of my weekend projects. I asked you about the control structure. It's kind of slow because I have it in SVG mode, but I rebuilt my drawing machine when I wanted to make some like live sketches, essentially to pump out some pen plotter drawings.
Wait, so you made this to be able to draw on your own, so to have it as a tool that you can use to draw?
Remember a couple years I made like my own AxiDraw machine. It's like a motor driven pen plotter. Yeah, so this is a P5 sketch, and then a slider library.
Let me see if I can add the link here. Yeah, this is gonna be slow because we're doing this thing and live sharing and okay. So awesome. Yeah, man, this is
but
really
this cool. This is a Next.js app. So this is a versatile app. I thought it just saw the URL in the other you're showing me. Mine looks very similar, and that's also a library that kind of drop down slider GUI. It's called Leva, Leva.
This is your own P5 sketch, right? Like kind of the...
I rebuilt it. I mean, it's kind of like based off of like one of the standard Perl and noise examples, but I just tweaked it a bit. But yeah, essentially mine. So, but all the changes I made were essentially to... That's funny. It's really heavy because it's actually redrawing a full SVG in the background. Because if you press the P key, it's going to save a drawing to your machine, and then I convert that to G code on my pen plotter.
If I click on where?
Just hit the P key on your keyboard.
Let me put less rings, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's kind of heavy. Probably hold the stuff running computer. It's all client side, I think, like all the P5 stuff. And this is a blog post about essentially like Figma was trying to build they're talking about, I think, their rationale behind essentially building their own simplified version of CRDT, because the kind of fully managed version that something like Google Docs uses for like complex text editing, I think ended up being kind of overkill for what their needs were. It was just like interesting hearing someone like kind of talk through all of the different ways to go about making like live collaboration over the web work correctly, kind of like in the expected way.
Oh, it's funny. So you mentioned CRDT, but I was mentioning something new that Google was releasing.
I might be using the wrong algorithm there.
No. It's different. It's different. So I see here it says CRDT, which I don't really, conflict.
Oh, that's right.
Free replicated data types, which I think you're right. I think this is what YJS, right? I think that's what YJS is, right? Yeah, it's a CRDT implementation.
Okay. Yeah.
But then, so they're two different things. I think this is the implementation for how to merge data or like how to deal with data and stuff. But then on the background, you can use a WebSocket or WebRTC. So these are the different technologies to...
Oh, that's like the actual kind of protocol. And then,
so I think you can give it a provider which uses WebRTC and uses WebRTC, and then the other one's WebSocket, and there are others I don't understand. So I was looking at the differences between these two because it seems this one, WebRTC made by Google, seems, or at least on Google's developers, I don't know who made it initially. So this seems to be like peer-to-peer, and it seems like it's still not fully developed, but it's peer-to-peer.
That's interesting.
Okay, yeah, so that makes sense. Let me see if I can make use of this. Let's just put like one ring first. Okay.
I think there's min-max there. Yeah, that's I really like that React library for the
so
for
this
the
this is a control, right? Like okay.
Yeah, it's like a hooks based control provider, but it's kind of designed to easily hook into like the logic of other React components. So essentially, like it's like an HOC wrapping around the sketch, and then it passes the variables down. But you essentially just make an object with like the min, max, and value for every setting, and you don't even tell. Like it just sort of like infers the data type and like the representation of whatever your object is, and then parses it out and then makes the correct control. So, but you can do like vectors and strings, and it has like nice little like joystick controllers and stuff like that that'll render out.
That's really nice. It looks really cool, and you can even have like a search part. Yeah, can you send me the link? Yeah, I'm been doing some stuff with hooks. Like I'm still not super like my head is still not fully in the mindset of understanding
me neither.
Why or like how that happens, right? Like it seems like to be like a next level abstraction that someday will click. I've seen already the benefits because you can create a hook with some logic outside and then use it inside of another component and it magically works. I don't know how. I did build this site, not build it, but I added some hooks when I updated this website that I'm showing on screen to have this, and it will go really slow now.
Nice.
So I'm sharing screen to Nate in case this makes it anywhere. And it live filters by date on the contents, right? So it's pretty cool. And I implemented the kind of famous React router to fake these routes and have navigation and all that stuff. So when you click here, you have different categories and stuff. And what was really nice is that having React being this application that where the actual structure before was really different, because everything was componentized, let's say, properly, and I'm happy that it worked. I was able to keep all the components that were already working. Like, for example, internally, I had this slideshow component that goes full screen, and then you can close and you can go back. Everything gets integrated, and I was like, wow. I'm so, I thought I was going to break things and had to rebuild components from scratch, but magically everything works. So we have this.
Yeah, that was like the whole...
This website now.
My understanding was like one of the major updates for React 17 that people expected a bunch of new features to come from was really just making hooks and traditional React like project structures as classes just play well together. Like they sort of set it up that you can have a weird mishmash, like mix of everything in the same project and all this kind of magically works. And I don't understand at all how that happens, but you can just kind of like introduce that stuff into existing projects and things don't break.
So this is the library, right? So the library is called React Leva.
Yeah, Leva. I don't know.
Leva.
It's from the same...
like lava. Yeah, the volcano.
But it's from the same group that does React 3 Fiber, Poimandras or whatever. It's really, really easy to use. I just like it because, like, I don't know, there's that one, like if you ever play around with 3JS, there's that old dat.gui library that's on top of all the old 3JS examples. I think they rebuilt it just because that thing looks kind of dated, and there's not a lot of like alternate libraries out there that just make it super easy to spin up GUI controls.
And yeah, I mean, it seems really good. I haven't used lately 3JS that much. I would like to, but yeah, these are all really nice things. I can point you to so where is this perfect freehand here? These may have some sort of dependency package that points to what you're commenting, that the UIs that we can see in that application. Let's see. Hotkeys, hook, DOM, RKO. Okay, let's see. React, RKO. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Radix UI. We're talking about radix-ui.com.
I'm still on the hunt for like a React-based component design system library that I actually like. Like I haven't found one that sort of does everything that I want. I end up just going back to doing everything myself. I didn't like Material UI. I didn't like Grommet. But then every time I see a new one like this, I'm like, I have to give it a chance.
There's always something that's missing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, it's really like I feel like Material UI like really overcomplicates the whole theming. Like I hate the whole like top level like orchestrated theming system thing that's really opinionated. It's really hard to like work your own styles and stuff back into it.
Yeah, because then you have to comply with everything has to look their way, right?
Yeah, or you just have to like learn, if you want to customize it, you have to learn whatever kind of specific way they've decided to deal with like creating your own styles and files and passing them down. And I feel like it just gets complicated super fast. I always just end up falling back to SCSS.
I'm actually thinking, I've been listening to Lex Fridman podcast. I don't know if you heard of it or anything.
No, check it out.
He started calling it Artificial Intelligence Podcast, and he now just calls it Lex Fridman because the framework of his podcast was getting richer than just AI, mm-hmm. and he was talking about the human brain and life and many, many things, right? And I've seen that many, one of the latest interviews that I've listened from him are with Travis Oliphant, the creator of NumPy and SciPy. And he also puts out their conversations similar to what we just had, maybe a bit more structured, but in terms of them talking about math and complex stuff and libraries and things like that, many times I'm like, oh yeah, this is maybe too technical. And said, oh, maybe that's the audience that watches the live stream and care about these things, and maybe they enjoy. If they don't like, whoever doesn't listen to those, they would just jump, right?
I also I think there's something about getting into a podcast where you don't understand the domain expertise. Like I almost like that. Like I feel like I'll be listening to something and they'll dive into like the details of like a whole kind of subfield that I don't understand. but I still really enjoy it because I like hearing about how people who are experts in other domains talk about whatever their knowledge is. And like maybe learn something from it, or maybe get so far beyond it's sort of like not useful directly. But I don't know. I think there's some kind of like passive learning you can absorb. I have friends that are doctors. 2 doctors in the room talking about like some kind of surgery that I obviously know nothing about, but I'm still like fascinated hearing them talk.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, and I feel the same. Like sometimes you don't understand fully, but even hearing the things, like just the language that they use to talk about things that you don't know what they mean, helps you in the future, like interiorize. I've done that a lot with NFTs and Bitcoin and stuff. Just listening to many of them, like Lex Friedman has had a bunch of people. There's like CK snarks and zero knowledge proof and cryptography, whatever, right? So one of the things that I wanted to ask you around social capital and like what's happened with COVID and stuff. So maybe you can tell me a bit about how has that affected your work and life?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like I'm still in the middle of like the crazy transition. So it's almost like too soon to tell how it's affected things at a higher level. But I mean, really, it's affected my life super dramatically. I think for the better. I had to make some difficult decisions about where I wanted to spend the next few years. But it just happened that during COVID, my housing situation in Boston ended up, not being good because I had roommates that worked in the medical profession. And so they were coming back and forth from public transit and hospitals and all that and go back home, air quotes, like for a little bit, like a lot of people did. And then ended up being back where I grew up in the Midwest for almost all of 2020. And then it's like sort of enough time elapsed that, I had essentially moved completely out of Boston. But I think like the expected thing to do for me probably would have been to move back to Boston. But at that point, like a bunch of my close friends in Boston went through sort of the same thing where they ended up deciding, that they probably weren't going to come back either. And so I started to like make start the process of going back there. And I was like, wait, like I don't know anyone there anymore. Like I don't really want to go back to Boston. So I came out here to California sort of as a trial run basis, just to, stay with friends and do something totally different that I wouldn't like sort of in an alternate universe, where all this didn't happen. I probably would have never ended up living in California, but I just decided to seize the opportunity. And I love it here. I think I'm probably here for the long haul, unless something else dramatic and unexpected happens.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, to think that you were tied to an office, but then the ties that you had there loosely, I mean, that's what happens in Cambridge and Boston, right? Like the ties that you have slowly go and look for other opportunities, or maybe they go back home after they finish their studies. That was my case, for instance, right. And many, many others. And nothing that ties you there, right? I haven't been going to the US for, I don't know, how much is it? Like, yeah, almost 2 years soon. So it's crazy. I started being able to travel around Europe, but it's only been like vacation stuff. No work, no talks or anything. I guess like that might start getting back soon. Like if we can make it right, like with the vaccines and with the right protocols. I'm going to try to make more of these. The problem with this is that it probably requires for me to edit because there's a lot of gibberish and we've been just catching up and talking about things. But I'm leaning toward releasing more of these informal conversations that even you and I probably think, oh, this is just like a catch up or something. If we talk about things that are tech related that maybe have to do with the live stream or the things that I'm trying to do and other things like the COVID and remote things that could make into another episodes, I think that's good.
I just like in the last week, a bunch of random people reached out to me and I've gotten like sucked into the whole crypto NFT world in the past 8 days. So I heard you mention that, so I'd be curious to catch up with you sometime about what you think about the whole NFT craze, because I've been talking to a lot of different people about it. And I feel like someone reached out to me, so they're like, because I sort of had the skill set to get into it, just in terms of like creative coding and software development. And so I'm working on a couple side projects, but the whole space is so weird. It lives in its own reality.
I signed up to Foundation.app. That's all I've done. I have been reading and stuff. And I actually made an episode with Aziz that we're releasing soon on NFTs and digital art. But it's like really, really high level. You probably know everything that's on there. But yeah, that could be a good topic if you get deep dive a bit more. That would be a good topic to have a conversation that we could make it into a podcast, because I want to learn more about it. And I also want to be on that kind of sphere where like, I would like to make NFTs of my artwork as well, because the project is really digital in the sense that I publish every week, but analog that I do it by hand, and I could do prints that people can receive as well. Let's talk about that some other time. Really nice to see you, man.
Yeah, you too, man. All right, talk soon. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Well, it's Nono here again. I would love to hear from you. You can submit your questions at gettingsimple.com/ask. You can ask about this or any previous episodes, or also about the live stream. And I would love to hear as well what you thought of this podcast format. Is this something that you enjoyed? We hadn't done this before. This is just an informal catch-up meeting where Nate and I were talking. It wasn't pre-planned. We didn't think of, okay, let's have an outline and talk about things. It was a bit weird because I was screen sharing at the beginning of the meeting and we didn't share that video anywhere. I wasn't recording. I'd be happy to hear what you thought. You can hit me on Twitter at NonoESP, NONOESP, or simply submit a written comment or an audio note at gettingsimple.com/ask. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.